my God. Was that a good movie?
I think so.
Welcome to our spoiler-free for now podcast of Shazam. We'll get into spoilers in a bit. I'm Will.
And I'm Sam.
We saw Shazam.
We did.
It feels good for you to say Sam and then Shazam.
Shazam.
Shazam. There he is. Fury of the Gods, the sequel to 2018's Shazam.
Yes.
And we got to see it a little bit early. This podcast's coming out at a normal time, but we saw it early. Just need to make that clear that we're really cool.
Yeah. Somehow.
And spoiler free at the top. What did you think, Sam?
I think you need to say what you think.
Okay.
Because you're really excited about this.
I am very hyped on this film. Like, I think I said to you, it's the most fun I've had in a superhero movie since probably Spider-Verse. I think.
At first you said Infinity War.
I said Infinity
War. And I was
War.
like, whoa, that's a hot take.
Yeah. Since at least, and I think they came out the same year, but since Spider-Verse, and because I just left the theater from this movie feeling so happy.
Yeah.
And feeling like all the feelings you should feel after a fun superhero movie.
Yeah.
There was no point in the film where I was like, what's that? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, okay.
There was the occasional, purely from Zachary Levi's character, the cringe dialogue that he kind of had in the first film.
Yeah.
For the most part, is like a very well-written, funny movie.
Yeah.
But there was a few little, like the Khaleesi line and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
like, okay.
Okay, we understand.
But apart from that, like I don't have many qualms, but we will go into any qualms that we potentially have in a bit. But yeah, I am so high on this film.
Yeah,
and
good.
I hope that it does well. It's projected to not do that well, which is unfortunate, but I hope word of mouth hopefully lifts it a little bit. But that's how I felt.
Yeah.
You were very quiet.
I was.
So I would like to know.
I'm still like... Because I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
But same with like the first Shazam.
Yes.
It doesn't hit home for me.
Yep.
I still don't know why. It's been like 4 or 5 years. I still don't know why. Like I think all the characters are great. In this one, I think they were heightened to 11 for sure.
Yeah.
It was great to see all of them, back again, plus new characters.
Yeah.
Like the story was fine. I think one thing I was saying to the people that I was sitting with and we agreed on was that this one feels a lot more kiddish.
Yes.
In the sense that they have 100% realized, okay, this is going to be for kids.
This is the family friendly part of DC.
So there were parts mainly like in the middle where I was just kind of like, this is a bit dumb. But I can understand for the character and the story in that sort of universe of DC needs to sort of be like that. But no, like I don't really have any like main quarrels with it.
I think like whilst that I probably wouldn't overly agree on the kid side of things, but I can see where you come from. I think in that I think is also the film is very aware of what it is.
Yes.
Which I think
100% it is. Yeah.
Which is no offense to DC. Sometimes they don't realize how dumb they are.
Yes.
And they go too hard into being serious and then it just is a little bit silly.
Yeah.
Whereas they from the opening of this film it knows what it is.
Yeah.
And I think for you that's come through as being a family friendly kind of kids thing.
Yeah.
For me I'm just like it's nice that it's consistent.
No, of course.
Like it doesn't flip-flop
100%.
between being dark and serious and it's like it is pretty much funny from the start to the end. Like there are jokes throughout it. But the cool thing as well is David F. Sandberg, the director of both films, is a horror director.
Yes.
And like that shows as well. Because as much as it is fairly family friendly, the like darkness and deaths and like monsters that kind of come in through the end of the film feel dark in a cool way.
Yeah,
like,
no, 100%.
It feels like it's a director that knows how to be creepy, which is cool. Similar to the Seven Deadly Sins or whatever in the first movie. It was like when they first appeared, it was like, oh,
it's like, oh shit. Yeah. And they like throw a guy out of the window in the first movie. It's like, and there are moments like that in this one where it's like, it goes so extreme. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, I don't think that's okay.
Yeah,
I was like,
the rooftop bit, which we'll probably talk about, that was like, oh shit.
I forgot about that. Yeah, no, that was like intense.
So there is certainly a balance of there is some lighter moments and some darker moments, and I think they do a pretty good job of doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, we'll talk about it more in the spoiler section in a moment.
Yeah,
but this is second to this is one of the last 3 movies set in the Snyderverse, maybe.
Yes.
At least tailing off that era.
Whether
this one is set in that universe, we don't really know still. But
yeah, because like with Shazam, like the first one, I felt was never really a part of that universe either.
Totally.
I feel like it was very much its own thing.
Yes.
The only thing we had in the first one sort of tied to that was like the Superman cameo
and like the batarangs.
Yeah, like there were things like that, but they were like tangible things. It wasn't like story arcs or characters that sort of came in.
It was a Superman and a Batman.
Yes, it was like items and props and costumes. And I think after this, I think it's safe to say that this is safe in terms of the DC universe.
Like
and we'll talk more about that, why we think that later on. But after even after seeing it, you kind of go, I think this is in a good spot.
Yeah.
I think this is fine.
Totally. And it feels like a good thing to keep as well, because a lot of the projects that were announced were fairly dark, and not dark, but more serious.
Yes.
And it would be a shame to lose what this already is, which is the lighter side of the DC universe. So I feel like it'll stick around. And also it is, even with the first one, it is the most gun-ish thing. Like, not that all the projects are going to feel like a James Gunn film, but this one did kind of feel like Guardians in a lot of ways. So
a little bit, I
was like, I can see him seeing this in production being like, I like this, I'll keep this.
Yeah.
So totally. I think it's safe. And I'm happy it is, because, I really enjoyed it. And I think I have to rewatch the original Shazam, because probably the same as you. I think I watched it at the movies and that was it. Like, I may have watched it twice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, like, I maybe just watched it. Oh, no, I watched it twice. I watched it at the movies, and then when it came out on Blu-ray, like, I went and bought it, and I was like, yeah, we'll watch it.
5 years ago.
But it's like nothing recent.
I'd love to rewatch it and kind of reassess it, but there was things in that felt a little bit rough.
In the first one?
Yeah, I loved it, but I think for me, one of the weakest links was the kid version of Billy.
Okay.
I didn't love the actor. And, and
I think in this he was a bit better.
He was a bit better, but they also did a very clever thing in this movie where they lent into the successful versions of each character. Yeah. So, like, Billy is, for the most part, Zachary Levi in this movie. Yes. There's not much of his kid self in it. And for me, at least, he is the better part of the two. Yeah. Not that the kid's any bad, but it's like, if you're going to focus down and let the audience kind of connect with someone.
But also, it's like you want to see him as a superhero.
Totally.
It's like, you don't want to see this high school kid just... Yeah. I mean, are they high school?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know what... I know he's 18, so I think he's...
Yeah, no, that's right.
School,
yeah, okay, yeah. So you don't want to see like a bunch of kids just like...
Totally.
So it's like you want to see them in their suits and their lightning and... Yeah.
And then the flip side of that is Freddy. Freddy? Freddy's the other
Freddy.
kid. Jeff. Where the better half, I know people like the adult version of him, but the better half, the better actor is the kid.
For sure.
And so they're like, we're going to focus on him more.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I like that they knew which version of the characters we liked.
Absolutely.
Same with the other ones. It was like, the kid versions were kind of the ones I cared the most about. Yeah. So they didn't have the adults that often. Yeah. So I liked that there was a balance.
What I will say though with that, I still think that the adults that are playing these kids are some of the best actors they could have gotten.
Yeah, totally.
The one that always sticks out to me is the woman that plays Darla.
Yes.
Like the youngest.
Yeah.
She is phenomenal.
So good.
At translating like a 9-year-old attitude in like an adult body.
And not like in a cringy way.
No.
It's like, no, it's big.
It's
Tom Hanks and big.
Good.
Yeah.
And they're like, even like the guy that plays the adult Freddy.
Yes.
Should we get into spoilers now?
Yeah. Spoilers now. If you haven't seen the film, please see it. Get it some money.
Just see it, please. Yeah. We need this new DCU to have a backbone.
Please. Spoilers.
Yeah. No, so there's a scene where they're on a rooftop.
Yes.
And Freddy is trying to impress a girl.
Yep.
So he goes, do you want to see a superhero? And then he goes away and then he turns into his,
they're all called Shazam? The Shazam family, I guess, yeah.
So he, shouts he's, Shazam and...
what is he, Captain All Powers?
Captain All
Every Powers or something? Yeah.
So he comes out in his, alter ego. Yeah. And that was the moment where, as he started talking, I think it was because we just heard the younger version. When he started talking, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, that's
the same guy.
That's the same kid.
Yeah, totally.
Like, and then there were moments throughout the film where like the guy that plays Pedro.
Yes.
Like the older version of him.
Yeah.
There were certain things he was talking about where he just got like the tone of like the kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my freaking God.
Yeah. Incredible casting.
Phenomenal.
They, I think that is down to the film is so good with payoffs, setting up and paying off. Like, which, like, you know, there's a lot of things that they could have set up and paid off in a future movie, but everything that's set up in this movie is paid off in this movie, which I fucking loved.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite sequences in the movie is when we first get introduced and then later go back to it, the doors.
Yeah,
so cool.
The doors are sick.
Such a like wonderful fantasy element.
Yeah.
And getting that set up and then, you know, kind of in the back of your mind going, that was cool. And then that paying off straight away. Like that's a great, but for me, the comedy of this movie is so good because it sets up and pays off.
Yeah.
My two favorite bits.
Yeah, go.
My first favorite bit, and we'll talk about this for a little bit. I'll come back to my second favorite.
Yeah.
My first favorite scene is the body swap of the Wizard and Wonder Woman. Insane. Like
insanely good.
I genuinely think that will be in our like moments of the year. That will be like my number one.
Not just like in concept, but like
in execution
in
as well.
The way it looked. Like it looked so well done and so funny.
Ridiculous. Like and slightly practical in a way that I wasn't, because it was like he would turn his head and hers wouldn't quite match. So it was like they filmed both of them and we're trying to match them up.
Like a slate over the top and
because you know, spoilers for the movie, she's in it, the one we like. Well, the one we know.
The one we're lukewarm to.
But it was because the setup for the thing is, and we find out it's a dream, but he's on a date with Wonder Woman. And my heart, I saw it with Steph, you saw it with Jaden, and I think we both had the same reaction. The fact they shoot her in a torso shot the whole time.
I was just like, I was like, how dare you, first of all. But it was, and that's part of our thing of saying that this movie is so aware of what it is.
Totally.
Like, Sandberg knows how to push buttons.
It was so good.
It was so good. And even there's a moment where she's about to turn around really quickly.
And then it
cuts perfectly so that you don't see any of her face.
Totally.
And then you just cut to the back of her looking at Billy.
Like,
perfect. It's so good.
So good. And the cool thing is that it's clearly her as well. Like, whereas the Cavill one, it was a body double or whatever. It's like, as soon as you're like, I know who that is. That sets up the payoff later on in the film when she comes back. There's a little bit of setup in having the letter sent to her and stuff. But I love that isn't coming out of nowhere because we've kind of had the introduction of her in the film. So she's in your mind and it's not a sudden other characters coming in. And it's kind of an ongoing gag that he loves Wonder Woman. Sure. So it's like, I like that setup. But my favorite setup and payoff comedy moment is the fucking violin, where he's like, the violin, it's on fire. We don't know why that is. And then later on in the movie, to distract the villains, he's like, they're like, what's that? And then it cuts to the flaming violin. And I lost my shit because I'm like, that is such a stupid gag. That is so silly. But I love that.
I didn't even notice that.
That was the thing that he, to get the stuff off him, he just puts the flaming violin there and then they get distracted by it. Like, that is so funny and it is so silly. I was cackling at the introduction of it when he just off the cuff is like, there's so many weird things here. Like that flaming violin. Why is it flaming? It's always there. And I was like, that's a great bit. And then to have the payoff. And the script has that. There is so many great, like the introduction of the third sister or third daughter is like, it's such a good first introduction and it pays off in the end of the film.
I wish though that it wasn't part of the marketing. There's a lot of things.
I didn't watch much of it, so I was like, the whole time I'm like, until it gets revealed, I was like, is she something or does she turn into something?
Well, I think that's because for me, like she's also on the poster.
And
in the poster, she's in like her get up as being one of the sisters. So like I understand that they need to do that. But there are so many things that I wish were just held off until people go and see this movie. Wonder Woman being the main one. Because I mean, I don't want to jump. Actually, no, I'll save it. We'll go from the start of the film through, and then I'll save it to the end.
No, that's fair.
I was very, very happy when this film began because it had a really cool opening. Showed a very cool horror element. When so there's a sister who has the ability to like whisper into people's ears, and then their fucking eyes just go all black and like veiny and shit. And then they basically become like servants to them, and they'll do whatever you ask. And that I was like, I turned to my mate and I was just like, can they do that? I was like, is that allowed?
Okay.
Because being like an adult, being like, that is disturbing as hell.
Yeah.
Being a kid.
Yeah.
That's like, what the fuck?
And for me, that's maybe you're right in family. Like, it felt like a 90s movie. Like, it felt like The Mask and stuff, where there's just things in those movies
just
that
crazy
would
things.
just fuck you up as a kid.
Yeah.
But like, I like that there are these kind of films that are gonna get kids in, and they're gonna have the thrills that we had as kids. Because there's so many safe movies that you can watch that don't have things like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh yes.
And then that obviously goes us to like, we see the kids in their house and they're just chatting, and then they have this really cool thing of like, oh, it's a lovely day in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And then they all just turn, they're like now, seriously? And that's their sort of calling cards. Like, we have to go and save. Like, we have to go be heroes.
Yeah.
And the transition of them shouting Shazam and coming out of the smoke.
Yeah.
Oh my and from there, I was like in.
Totally.
But then they got to like, so there's a big scene happening on a bridge where this bridge is about to fucking collapse and they got to save everyone.
Yeah.
And there's a woman in her car and the song on the radio is, I need a hero. And she's like jamming out to it, sees all this shit going on in the distance. And then the music very slowly goes out of play.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
But the whole time I was like, please be a thing. And then there was a moment where she's about to fall into the water and you hear it like like for 2 seconds you can hear it again very slowly. And I was like, oh please. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, come on, Sandberg, you beautiful. I was like, just do it, please. And then sure enough, her car falls. He catches it and then the song just kicks in and I was like, oh, and I had like, just talking about, I've got goosebumps.
Totally.
Because they do this really cool thing. I love when movies do this where it's, you know, a sequel where you haven't seen these people in a few years as these characters. It's like they're showing us that they're comfortable, they have a groove.
Totally.
And it's this really like feel good feeling of having these characters back on screen.
Yeah.
And it's a big like welcome back to that universe.
I genuinely, like, what was happening, I was like, I don't think I've seen this since Fantastic Four 2. Like, there hasn't been, apart from like the start of Avengers, the second Avengers, like it made me think of those movies where they start to work together. And
because it does this really cool thing where each member of the family, you see them doing their save.
Yes.
Like they each get a highlighted moment, which is amazing. Meanwhile, that track is just blaring in the background.
Good.
It's so nice.
And the nice thing about it, maybe Eternals as well open with something like that.
Yeah.
The nice thing about it is that they then don't not do that again, because a lot of times films open with that awesome sequence and this never again do they all work together. But in this film, they're constantly helping each other and they're constantly on screen together. And so it's really nice that it isn't tick, we did the cool scene and then it moves on.
Totally.
I love that opening sequence. It was so cool.
It was so much fun.
And I should talk about it here. We're talking about that music, but the piece of music that played over like the Warner Brothers logo and stuff, which is the theme for the movie, I was like sitting there, I'm like, I don't remember the music being this good in the first one. Like I was like, oh, I'm like,
you know what? Because like the main theme for Shazam, I was listening to it this morning. When it starts, it's Uncharted.
Really?
If you listen to it,
cool.
Should I get it up now?
Yeah, get it up now.
And we'll have a look?
Yeah.
Because you'll hear it and you'll go, oh my fuck, that's Uncharted.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then it turns into Ant-Man. Like the crescendo is such an Ant-Man little flair.
100%.
Oh.
When I first heard like this score, I was like underwhelmed by it because I feel like I feel like there should be like more oomph to it. But seeing it edited together and obviously changed for cinema, so much better.
So good. So in the moment, it totally fits.
Absolutely.
I hands off, hands off.
Both off.
Yeah. To Kristoff Back, who is the Ant-Man composer, WandaVision, and Hawkeye as well. And for me, Quantum Mania fell super short in the score department. It was kind of lacking a lot. So when I found out he did this, I'm kind of like, I still have confidence in you, buddy. If you did this well, you're good. I adored the score in this movie. I think, there could potentially have been more, but it was really triumphant and I think it helped with the feeling of it feeling like a superhero movie. Yeah. Like I can't stress enough that this felt tropey and silly. It did. In a way that I was really excited
But I'm hoping in a way that people don't knock it for that.
Because
it's like, it's purposeful.
Totally.
Like they're doing that for a reason because they are so aware of what this is and the audience space and the universe it's in.
And I'm not going to hold it up to that standard because it is one of the best superhero movies, but it almost had the feeling of the Christopher Reeve superhero movies, where it's just like lo-fi, like the fucking rooftop sequence with him is the Lois Lane scene.
Yeah,
like it's 100% that sequence.
Yeah, but like I mean, so that rooftop sequence, what like you know the main sister that can like mind control and stuff. A teacher comes up, and he's like, "What's going on up here?"
Yeah,
and then Freddie is like, "Don't hurt him, don't touch him." She's like, "You have my word, I won't touch him." But she whispers in his ear, which I thought, okay, that's clever.
Yeah,
but then she's whispered in his ear to just walk off the roof.
Yeah,
so this guy just possessed, eyes glazed over. And just casually walks off the roof and splats. Yeah. And Freddy is terrified. He's
fucked up. And at that point, he's back to being a kid as well.
Yes.
So he's just like a child, traumatized.
Throughout the movie, they're trying to get the staff that we see at the end of the first Shazam. Yeah. And it was the one that was like held by the wizard and gives them like their Shazam powers. And so these three sisters are trying to use that to... Was it rebirth their world on Earth? Yeah. But the staff can also take away the powers. So she just shoots Freddy with the staff. Yeah. His powers are gone. He's like, oh shit. Yeah. I can't do anything here.
Yeah. Yeah. And the great thing about, and it's another setup payoff, like I really think this is one of the most solid scripts for superhero movie, is that we have that very brief moment of him being, of that teacher being like, oh yeah, like the dumpster was my second home, and it's like a nice friendship you can feel. So when that happens, if it had not been set up with that tiny scene, it would have been like, wow, that was dark. But it was like, oh fuck, like no, not that. He seemed nice.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
So like there was just moments like after the movie where I was like, is this good? Like, is that okay?
like doing this?
Like holy crap. Yeah. But like again, like you've got like you see a little bit more of the Rock of Eternity. Like there's this really cool library now. Where there's like a pen called Steve. And he just writes things. Which is really, really cool. And like just the whole sort of like attitude and vibe of like the Shazam family was really nice as well. Yeah. You've got a few of them where like, they want to kind of go do their own thing now. Like they're comfortable being their own hero, but Billy is really trying to keep the family together because he's afraid that he's going to lose them out of fear of losing like his mom and dad when he was younger, and then possibly losing his spot in the foster care system now because he's about to be of age where he doesn't need to be a kid anymore. Which I thought was like pretty cool. It's cool that he's sort of battling like his own personal inner issues instead of like the issues of people, you know, talking poorly of him for being a hero.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, he has that element of imposter syndrome that they talk about, but it isn't solely about. Oh, I don't know if I should be a hero.
But I'm glad as well that wasn't like that didn't go through the whole movie. It was like they address it.
Totally.
They get over it, like as a kid would. They address something, but then they hold it in and don't, and like they just continue being a kid, and then it's brought back in the end in a way that I'd like. The thing I like most about this movie is that there's so many elements of it that don't feel forced. Yes. It's like they're very natural. They happen in the moment. Yeah. It's serious when it needs to be serious. It's happy when it needs to be happy. Yep. And it's like, that's what you want.
Totally. Yeah. I applaud this movie. The element that I've seen, like BMAC has kind of talked about it, is the third act, which is where everything kind of explodes. Yeah. They bring the golden apple back to Earth and let the Tree of Life and all these Dungeons and Dragons monsters start coming out, and
which looks great.
Which looked like the creature design was sick.
I think it was a is it called a Minotaur?
Oh, like a Cyclops?
Yeah. With like the one eye and the horn. I was like, that's freaking sick.
Like the bats and stuff. Like it felt like The Witcher, but the whole time I'm like, and the whole film is less superhero. I mean, it is a lot, and more fantasy. Yes. Like even the Rock of Eternity having like the door room and it felt very fantasy, which is cool. Yeah. But the whole time I'm like, how's Dungeons and Dragons going to top this? Because I really like
what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then through that, we get to one of my favorite moments of the movie where they're talking about unicorns. Yes. And Darla, she mentions this at the beginning of the film. She's like, I love unicorns. And her brothers are like, they're not real. Like, so then they bring it up again and the wizard's like, no, they're real.
They're real.
And then they go looking for one, which I thought was so much fun. So they come across a unicorn, but the wizard warns them. He goes, the unicorn is what's going to stop all these creatures because they are the most feared being in all of like the fantasy realm, and like they're harsh and mean. Like they're not the way that Earth has drawn them. And you know, made a likeness of them being these like cute little elegant creatures.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, they will kill you. So yeah, they find an egg sac that's about to hatch a unicorn.
Yep.
And Darla's just like, hi.
Yeah.
And she's like, come here. And then they're all like, what are you doing? And she's so confident. And then this unicorn is charging for her and she just throws up a bunch of Skittles.
So good.
And my favorite thing is this unicorn just stops and starts to eat the Skittles. She just leans down and just taste the rainbow. It was the
so good.
funniest thing.
Yeah.
We were cackling.
Yeah.
Me and the people I were with, we were absolutely pissing ourselves.
It's so funny because was your theater pretty quiet apart from you guys?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because that means because we were doing the same thing in the other one. And so that means in both theaters there were just a group of idiots. Yeah.
It's a group of nerds just laughing at Taste the Rainbow.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
I leaned over to Jade and I was like, what a plug for Skittles.
Yeah, totally.
I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But so then because the unicorn eats the Skittles, they can then ride the unicorn and there's more of them. So they use that to round up all the beasts.
Yeah.
And then as they're charging through, like
fucking hell.
Unicorn stabs the Cyclops.
Yeah.
And Darla just like, taste the rainbow, motherfucker. But obviously it cuts off before it gets to like, you know, the UCKER.
Yeah.
But
motherfucker.
it is and like the way she delivers it as a child is one of the funniest things.
So good, man.
I was absolutely dying.
Yeah. And again, another good setup payoff. Like the film is very good at it.
It's very, very good at it.
Yeah.
And like there's things as well. And I think partially because I've gotten used to your thinking. But it's like when things are happening now, I'm like, well, that's going to come back.
It's coming back. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things now where I'm like, okay, well, that'll come back.
Yeah.
But then, so then we get to like the end of the film where Billy has to go up against the third sister who's become a bit rogue.
Yes.
She's taken matters into her own hands and thinks that she should just wipe out the entire of the human race.
Yeah.
Because apparently they did that to them.
Yeah, there was a few bits in it that are a little bit vague. Like, I'm glad that they cleared up the staff because I forgot about what happened to the staff. Yeah. I'm glad that there was a cutback and talk about that.
No, actually, so what we'll talk about is obviously in this film, they've all got new suits, like the kids, and they look amazing.
So good.
Oh,
so good.
Freaking emblems, man.
Yeah.
Just the gold, so good. So before I saw this, I saw an interview with Sandberg where someone asked him why do they have new suits.
Yep.
And he said that this film was meant to come out and take place after The Flash. So he gave them new suits to insinuate that it's a new universe, new timeline.
Yeah.
We have a callback from the first film with the staff. So when they're at the circus in the first film and the family all get their abilities, Billy has the staff and he breaks it and then he throws it away.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends up in a museum in Europe and blah, blah, blah. When they do the flashback, they're still in the new suits.
So cool. I totally missed that.
And it wasn't like they had like edited them over. It was like they had reshot that scene in the new suits.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he's even got like the same haircut and everything.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so interesting. So I think and that's part of the reason why I'm like, no, this is safe. Because it's like if they've gone to that extent and kept it in there, knowing that this is coming out before The Flash now, it's like, I think it's safe to say that Levi and the rest of them are pretty safe.
And we'll get to the post-credit scenes that really lock it in too. But actually, like speaking on that, I love this film. The villain stuff is a bit vague. It's certainly like it. I think I understood it by the end of the movie, but like when Helen Mirren, who is phenomenal in this movie, when she scooped up the golden apple, I was like, I know you talked about that at some point in the movie.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about because like I remember Billy placing it on like the pile of
He was
books.
playing with it and then he dropped it. Yeah,
but I don't remember like where he took it from.
Yeah,
or, like I don't know if it's.
I think it was just around.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a thing to insinuate like he found it in trying to look through. Their layer, and he just found it. I was like, oh, cool, an apple. Like, just like it was like a toy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But there's certain elements that I was a little bit vague on, but at the same time, I think in the tone of the film, it didn't matter too much.
Yeah.
But she's making Earth as disastrous as she's terraforming Earth to be her planet, but because or her realm, but because it's Earth, it's not gone.
So
right.
because. Yeah, so I thought this was pretty clever.
Yeah.
So they do a thing where because gods and humans on Earth don't get along and on Earth there's so much conflict, the Tree of Life takes upon a new sort of like
energy,
I guess, where it's a bit harmful. And that's why these beasts come out of its roots and try to kill people because it's it's a new thing born in a world of conflict.
Yes.
Which I was like, that's
cool.
actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they go through all that. Before we get to the end, did you like the three sisters? Like, did you think they were all pretty good?
I mean, I adore Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, so there was definitely an easy in for me because I liked them. I think that, like, again, they were very tropey. I would have liked a bit more depth to them.
Yeah, okay. Because there was a thing for me with the sister that Lucy Liu plays.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, can you shut up?
Yeah.
Because like there were just certain points where the other two sisters were like, okay, we've got our end goal. Let's go do it. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
I want to kill everyone. And I'm like,
God damn it. Because we need the third act.
Why do you want to do that? But yeah, then we do get to the third act and it's literally Billy versus her because the staff has taken away the powers of all the other kids.
Yes.
So they can't help. Oh yeah, and we've got the dome.
Yes, we've got a dome. We've got a DC. We've got a fan dome.
The fan dome. The fan dome's in it.
Which is cool. Genuinely, because it is so tropey. Halfway through the movie, I'm like, it's going to end with a sky beam. Like, is there going to be a beam of light? Yep. It didn't. But when there was a dome, I'm like, that's a little bit of a beamy.
But then they do a cool thing where, like, so this dome basically keeps everyone within it and nothing can get out or in.
Yeah.
And then Lucy
Mirren,
Liu's character goes a bit rogue, kills Helen Mirren's character. But then before she dies, her and Billy have a chat and it's cool. They form a bit of an alliance and then she shrinks the dome so that it just covers the stadium where the Tree of Life is so they can fight within that and not harm everyone.
Yes.
Which is like smart, but whenever I see these things happen, I feel like it's because back in the day, like when Man of Steel came out, it was like people hated it because they were like, so many people died. Why would you do this? So in any superhero, like Marvel or DC, in any superhero movie now, they're like, they give reasoning as to why they're in a place that's got no population or when there's no one there. And then in this, like, they got the dome shrinking so it can't harm anyone. And I was like, cool, but we know why.
But at the same time, there's a dragon in this movie. At the same time, he froze the dragon in like a top level of an office building, and it's like, But I guess they've evacuated by that point, and whatever.
Oh no, yeah, but like the city gets wrecked.
It gets destroyed. Yeah.
Like people 100% died.
Well, yeah, when the monsters come out and that woman is scampering away from all the roots. Yeah. I genuinely was like, I would have been totally fine because she does that and then they stop. I was like, if they grow again and she just fucking gets impaled
very quick,
but then she gets up, is fine, and then a monster gets out, just rips her away, and it's
and
like
tosses her into like a cafe or something.
Which is fucking cool.
But so then we get like the big final battle, which looked like really cool. There were some really cool shots where he's kind of just hovering there with the staff, like the lightning behind him, plus the light of the emblem. I was like, hell yeah, Sandberg, you know what you're doing. And then they have their big battle. Billy then fucking dies.
He just fucking dies. I will say, because I was so in on this movie, the him going towards it with the fucking thing, which is basically the fucking doomsday fight. I was emotional. I was like, because the music's just swelling and it's visually stunning.
It was really
and
nice.
I was like, glasses off, just like, oh no. Like I was so in. That's what I mean.
So I don't. I'm so glad you like.
I don't know. I just have not felt this before.
There's another really cool shot where he hasn't got the stuff and he's like, fists and the eyes are going mental. And I was like, oh my God, that's Shazam.
It's so cool, man.
It's really, really good.
And especially because I was saying to B-Mac, I loved that the third act was in the daytime as well, because generally third acts of superhero movies, they're lights off, it's cheaper. This does get to nighttime, but even then it's still visually interesting and it uses the lightning and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he does fucking die.
Yeah, he does die, which is so sad. And there's a very, very emotional moment with him and Freddy, where Freddy's like, oh yeah, good prank, now wake up.
Yeah.
He doesn't wake up.
And his face is all fucked.
Oh yeah. He's gone.
Yeah.
And then they take him, I don't even know where they take him.
They took him back to the God's world.
Yeah.
Because they were aware all that kind of happened.
So they make him a little grave, they bury him, everyone's very sad. And then they to the wizard, look, can't the staff do anything? And he's like, it's run out of, there's no more power or magic left in this.
And there's no gods.
It needs to be brought back by a god, and there's no gods left to be able to do it. And then you hear, oh, well, there's one left. Insane. Wonder Woman comes in. Dude, I was almost on my feet because the theme was just belting.
It was better than it was in 84 and Justice League.
Buddy,
it's It's okay. It was more intense than it's been since like BVS.
Yeah, it had such a good like rumble behind it, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Good.
And it is Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
We see her face.
Yeah. But the camera starts there and almost goes up. And like pans up, and that like fucking broke me again. I was like,
good.
it's so good.
Very good. But then so she comes, mind you, has a very long walk.
She does take a bit.
It's so funny.
She takes a little while.
It's so good. But then she is able to summon magic back into the staff, bring him back to life. His hand just comes out of the ground. And he's like, oh, he's a zombie. Which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
And then they have a really nice moment there with Gal's Wonder Woman. And it's a thing that you were saying where you've never been very confident in her Wonder Woman, but now that seeing her, it's kind of like, she's
the one.
She's the one. Yeah. And because like I've never not liked her as Wonder Woman. It's just been a thing. Like I've been very much enjoyed watching her as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But I love that she's become that character for a younger audience and for women everywhere.
Yeah,
yeah. It's a really cool thing that for a lot of people, it's like they would have lost their shit seeing her.
Totally, man. If they didn't know already.
And that's my main issue with this movie. And one of the things we're talking about in terms of we wish it wasn't in the marketing.
Yeah.
Only about a week ago, they released TV spots of literally the scene.
Yeah.
Like of her in it. And in the scene, Billy is in it as well.
Yeah.
So the entire time when he's dead,
you're like, nah.
There's no emotional impact there for me anyway. Yeah. So I was like, well, I know we haven't had this scene yet with Gal.
Yeah.
And I know that Billy's in it alive as well. So I know that's to come. So I know it's
totally.
fine.
Yeah.
And it really took it out for me. Like took me out of it, I should say. But the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, it's fine.
He'll be right.
It's good. But then I was kind of like, get to the Wonder Woman bit. Get to that.
And I will say, despite the fact that this does feel like it solidifies her going forward, the line that she gives him about like be a hero and stuff, and the line that I'm like also does turn it back in, where she's like, I hope humans and gods can work together again, and like the next phase is called Gods and Monsters. I'm like, is that intentional?
Yeah.
But even so, if that goes nowhere, like it felt like a nice end for her. Like if she doesn't show up again, which I think she does. If it was the last time we see her, it was a passing of the torch.
Yes.
Kind of nice moment. Yes. So I'm like, even if we never get to see her again, it was a nice final bit.
Yeah. Totally having a tangent now away from Shazam.
Yeah.
If Gal and Ben are in the Flash,
yes,
please just have Cavill for a second.
Yeah, I know, man.
Just have that trio back for a second.
Surely they're like, I pray that they're holding on. Like this is the one thing that they're not going to let out.
Just give me one nice send off, and then.
It's just.
Could you imagine if it was a thing where they're like, yeah, Henry's back as Superman.
Yeah.
Let's have him say he's back, but then we'll tear everyone away.
And then we'll do it again.
He's not back. And then just so that no one is like sus about the Flash at all.
Yeah.
Because like the fact they're going back to like the Man of Steel timeline.
Yeah, man.
I'm like, what
and
the
her
hell?
Costume is his costume.
Yeah,
like it's the same, all the
same
stuff.
Emblem, same texture. Yeah. Anyway, back to Shazam.
But yes, he comes back. And this is another thing. I'm going back to Ant-Man.
Go for it.
So much of this movie is what I think the reason why I was so emotional and enjoyed it so much was it felt like the Quantum Mania that I didn't get.
Okay.
Like it was funny. It was a tight script. It was a family, which is the Ant-Man movies. It's all about the family.
Yeah.
That was a good scene as well. It's about family. And I expected Scott to die in Quantum Mania, and they at least did it in this. Like it was all the elements of the Ant-Man movie that I just didn't get, and so this was just, it spoke to me on. And we come to these movies with different hopes, I think.
Yeah.
Specifically DC movies.
Nowadays, I'm just like, I hope I enjoy it.
I just want to like it.
But like I had someone who was leaving the cinema with me.
Yeah.
And they turned to me and they were like, why was that better than Ant-Man? And I was like, no. Don't question.
No.
Just appreciate it. Appreciate it. Like for what it is and move on.
I don't know there's much more to say.
Not really.
I like where it ended. I mean, we'll talk about the post-credit scenes.
Yes.
It was a nice end for the film. I loved, we didn't really talk about it. I loved the parents getting a bit more involved in this one, which was cool.
Yeah, it was good.
Another great payoff to he was calling someone up about insurance for the house keeps getting struck by lightning, and then Billy turns to Shazam. He's like,
oh my God.
Is that why?
There was a part at the end when he comes back that I fucking died at.
Yeah.
So they all go, someone asked for something back. I can't remember. one of the kids is like, can we get this back? Can we have that back?
Yeah.
And then as the scene is cutting out, you see the dad very faintly go, can I get my house back? And I thought I was the only one that laughed at it.
Yeah.
I was the only one. But I was just like,
he was fucking solid. He had some great moments. I like when they rebuild the house, there's a no Shazam zone.
Yes.
Which is very good.
No, I think it was no Shazamming or something.
No Shazamming, yeah. Love that.
Very good.
But yeah, I like that the family got involved a bit more. And I'll say, I'm allowed to say this. Yep. I'm very single. The fact that because the way it happened was I was in your cinema, and then Steph arrived a little bit later, and that cinema had only just started, so I went across to that one. So I saw the opening of the movie twice, and when Billy leaves the house and doesn't call her mum, both times I went, I'd call her mummy, because genuinely she's a very attractive lady. So just saying.
That's amazing.
But yeah, it was cool to have them involved a bit more. Cool. And yeah, through the two films, it does kind of feel like the Ant-Man movies where it is building a nice little family unit that they can keep playing with.
Yeah.
And that they can kill someone in the third one. Like that is where we're going. Yeah. Someone's gonna cark it in the third movie. If there is one, I hope there is one. So we might as well talk about post-credits.
Yeah, might as well talk about the post-credit scene.
Or mid-credits for the first one.
We open up with James Gunn's wife.
The stamp of approval.
She's back. So this is the thing we were saying. We were like, this universe and the people in it are safe.
Yeah.
Because if she's in it, that stamp of approval is there.
And Diebeard from Peacemaker as well, the big guy.
Yeah, so I haven't watched Peacemaker. So I don't know the characters or anything.
Yeah. Econominus or something his name is. But but yeah, for me who loves the Peacemaker movie show, it was like it was funny because the movie's pretty separate. Apart from Wonder Woman, it doesn't really similar to the first one. Yeah. So when it cut and it's literally it just cuts to them walking in a forest.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I'm like, my brain took a second to remember. And I was like, wait, I was like, I like these people.
Well, it was funny because when they were walking, they were talking about who they were going to meet. And before they got to the very clear, like, we're going to go see him, Shazam.
Yeah.
I was like, are they going to find Swamp Thing?
Yeah, it felt like a new thing.
I was like, are they going to see Swamp Thing? I was like, holy shit.
Totally.
And then, they go and find Billy.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you want to be part of the Justice? And he's like, yes, I do. And then they're like, the Justice Society.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh.
What's that?
And he's like, what's that? And then, they'll eventually... So I think being a part of that now, it's a very cool thing that he is going to be around for a lot longer.
Totally.
Which should be sick.
Yeah.
But then he starts to rattle off other names because he thinks that two groups having the word justice in them is wrong.
Yeah.
So he starts to rattle off names and then he gets to... the Avengers Society.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know why, but I like that.
I like that one. That one feels right.
Yeah. And I was like, that's James Gunn.
That's so 100% good, man.
That's James Gunn.
I'm intrigued because, I mean, those characters, or at least his wife turned up in Black Adam as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Less so there. I don't think that one's...
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was Justice Society, right?
It was, yeah.
So like...
Because in this post-credit scene, they also mentioned Waller again.
Yes.
And she was the one that brought about the team in Black Adam.
Okay. Yep.
So she's very much behind the realm in terms of the Justice Society.
Yeah. So I guess that means big dude, Cyclone, everything's like,
I guess. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Which is like, I haven't seen it as much as, it's got rough bits. I think having those characters set up for a new movie is cool.
Yeah.
And they seem vibrant compared to a lot of the DC. So he probably would fit in with the
100%,
little, but yeah, it was interesting considering, Black Adam seems to be a dead movie. When she said Justice Society, I was like, huh.
Yes. Yeah, me as well. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So is Dwayne okay?
Yeah, totally. And also I'm like, because there's a Peacemaker season 2. I'm like, is Peacemaker season 2 Justice Society? Like, is that going to be a Justice Society show?
Shazam in Peacemaker?
Yeah, like a weekly Shazam appearance. Like that's what it feels like, because they're both there. If it was just her, similar to Black Adam, maybe it would just be leading to a movie. Yeah. But because they're both there, and I'm 90% certain it was written by James Gunn because it felt different. Like he felt, and fine, he felt a bit dumber. Yeah, he definitely seemed a bit more silly than he did in the rest of the movie. So I'm like, if he's written that, I assume it's leading to the show. And that could mean it's like John Cena, Zachary Levi, like all those characters in Peacemaker season 2 is Justice Society, which should be fucking cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, especially because like spoilers for Peacemaker, the last episode brings in the Justice League for a brief moment, so it's like they're not afraid to use the big guns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. But another thing that was cooler was in the second post-credit scene, which was the most meta, like in a way very meta, because of how much we were talking about it. Yeah, but also one of the funniest parts of this movie. Yeah. We go back to the cell.
Evil.
We go back to the same cell. Yeah. The same pretty much shot as the post-credit scene for the first film, where I forget his name.
Dr. Zavanna?
Zavanna, yes. Yeah. So he's still in his cell. He's got a beard now.
Yeah.
The same caterpillar comes up to the window. We meet again. Yeah. And he's like, are you serious? He's like, it's been 2 years. Where have you been? Yeah. And he's like,
I'm a caterpillar.
I'm a caterpillar.
It takes a while to get around.
It takes a while to get around. And he's like, so not for much longer. And I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. It was one of the things where I knew if you were next to me, we would have been howling. We would have gone feral, like that. Like the dog. But it was
and then the best bit is that, like, because the original one went nowhere and it's been 5 years, the end of it, he's like, what's happening? What's happening? And then the caterpillar goes, I've got one more thing to do, and then leaves.
He slithers away.
And he's like, no.
It was so good. And again, another thing where it's like Sandberg is very, very aware. Totally. He knows what he's doing. He knows what people are talking about. Yeah. And it's and that was the thing that we literally mentioned walking into the cinema. Yeah. We were like, oh yeah, there was that post-credit scene that never went anywhere. And now it never will.
And it still isn't.
I love if it just continues to be
every movie.
And credit gag.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I do wonder potentially that might be leading to, it might tie in with the Peacemaker show as well. Yeah, it might be Justice Society versus whatever that Legion of stuff is. Yeah. Because that would be nice if because then you could basically watch the two movies and I guess Suicide Squad and Peacemaker and there's already a little universe forming across a couple of projects. Yeah. But I mean, it could go nowhere and it'd be as funny because because as it was building, I'm like, oh, I wonder if it will be something. Like, are they going to show us like Lex Luthor and like a bunch of stuff?
In my head, I was like, okay, the first post-credit scene has been an actual like story building.
Yeah, totally.
So I was like, this is going to be a dumb gag.
Yeah.
But then I was like, the best dumb gag that they could have done. Yeah. Like genuinely.
Yeah. And to get Mark Strong back. Just to do that.
So good.
It was great.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Yeah. Friggin' amazing.
So just go watch it.
Please go watch it.
Don't even listen to this.
Yeah. If you're somehow here and you haven't watched it, forget everything.
Forget everything we said, go watch it. Yeah. Because you will enjoy it.
It's just so much fun.
And if you don't enjoy it, touch grass.
Touch grass. Just give it a go. See how it feels. Even if it's like fake grass, any form of grass. You can find AstroTurf. You can find real turf.
Just go into it with an open mind. Yeah. Keen to experience
touching grass.
Yeah, that. and then go watch Shazam.
And then go see Shazam. Yeah, totally. Don't go in with expecting dumb. I hate that phrase. Yes. I hate when people are like, just switch your brain off. It's like, no. That's not what it is. Yeah. It's just don't
pay attention.
Yeah. And don't expect it to be stupid. Yes. Like that's like a lot of people's retort back to Love and Thunder was, you just got to switch off and enjoy it. It's like, but then why am I watching it?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas, this is going with an open mind and be ready to enjoy and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
But don't expect Man of Steel or like a more dark and gritty film. Just go in and have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So not bad.
Pretty good. We should say Shazam and then never reveal our costumes. Ready? Okay. Shazam!
You better run.
I messaged him because he had to drop off just up the road as well. Yeah, and I messaged him. I was like, "Oh mate, when you get here, please don't ring the doorbell. The baby's sleeping."
Don't ring the doorbell. The baby's sleeping.
I was like, "Mate, I've got two of them. Please sleep. Please don't ring the doorbell."